This is where everything changed. And I asked a question that no hypnotherapist asks. Now, just go to the time and place that you most need to go to for your healing. I left it up to the subconscious mind to then decide. And then he starts explaining, I'm 27 years old and my client's 21. So I'm like, okay, he's projecting himself 6 years into the future. He's explaining a body type that wasn't quite his body type as well. And he said his name was Jeremy. I'm like, that's not even his name. I'm like, he's really constructing a false identity here to really live out something, you know? So I'm going to go with it, right? This is new. So he's going through this life. I'm like, okay. He gets all the way to his deathbed and he's in hospital, right? And I said, okay, how old are you? He says, I'm 72 years old. And I'm like, okay, well, what's happening? He says, I'm dying of heart failure. I said, okay, you're aware that you're dying? He says, yes. I said, is anyone with you? He says, yeah, my wife, Susan, she's on my left. I said, okay, she's holding my hand. Okay. Do you have any children? He says, yes. Excellent, Chris, I love them dearly. No doubt in his voice, no hesitation. I'm like, okay, cool. He said, but they're not here. I said, okay. All right. Is there a date? And then he just waits about 5 seconds and he says, yeah, September 11, 1981.
Oh.
And I'm like, 81? Backwards?
Yeah.
What happens next? And he goes, I've just died. I'm above my body and my wife Susan's still holding my hand. She's crying. I said, okay, well, what do you notice? A ball of light. I said, a ball of light? He's like, yeah, something like that. And he says, and there's this big grand light above me and it's drawing me in. And I'm like, okay, how does it feel? He says, it feels euphoric. I said, okay, if it feels right, continue on, see what happens next. And he passes into this light. Here's where it gets weird. His linguistic style shifts. So the way he constructs his language and his words changes. He's now speaking proverbially, meaning like very proper. I said, okay, so if you've just died, you're also born here in 1996. What happens in those 15 years?
Yeah.
And he says, nothing. We waited for this body. I said, we? This body? Says, yes, he will unite people. He was struggling with the fear of isolation in this life here, which he needs to overcome here. But he will unite people in this body. I said, if so who are you? And you know what he says? Kleinheid. I said, can you spell that? He says, Kleineheide. I still remember writing it down when he said it. And I said, where's that from? And he goes, it's ancient. You wouldn't understand.
Wow.